Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee, Books, and Rain, where we love diving into the world of books, as we do frequently on this channel, and I've been trying to be much more consistent in this month of July. So hopefully you guys have seen that I have been doing much better. I have tried to batch record, and so this is going to be kind of an episode that comes out of some of my batch recording, because I will read a whole bunch and I'll start making notes, and then I have to just find a day on a weekend that I can sit down and take that time to record. And so that's what I'm doing today. And I wanted to talk to you guys about Kevin Hearn's series, Ink and Sigil. I don't know if you guys have ever read the Iron Druid Series. It's awesome. It's like, there's like Hexed and Hounded and Hunted and all these other fun books. But the Ink and Sigil books are a little bit different in that we don't follow the main character Atticus O'Sullivan and his Irish Wolfhound Oberon. That is the Iron Druid series, but this one still takes place in that world. So, I mean, I would say this world, just with like druidic magic involved. The Tuatha De Danann are still involved. There are still fae that are here kind of illegally and that sort of thing. So because there are not many druids, we get sigil agents. We get individuals who are kind of more or less given the ability to create sigils, which allows them to use a kind of sort of magic. It is not as great as being a druid, but they don't get the extended life and that sort of thing. They really are more or less human in most terms of it. But our main character for this particular series is Al McBarish. And he is this, what I would imagine is like this 70-year-old man who's described as having this like luxurious white mustache, and he loves like cocktails and things like that. I just picture him to be the coolest grandpa ever if he had kids. Like, I don't think they talk about him having any kids or children, but oh wait, he does have a son. He does have a son, but we'll get to that and why I kind of forgot about that. So, Ink and Sigil is number 1 in the series, and I really had fun with it. It's not a heavy-hitting read. It's not even that long. Hang on. Here it is. Haha. I do have the book on my shelf, and I have the second one staring at me on my desk. So, this is the first book in the series. It's not even that long. This is actually a fairly shortish book. About 300 and I would say about 310 pages. Yeah. Which is not bad. I mean, some books can really get like lengthy. And I would say the Kevin Hearn, even Iron Druid series, are not super lengthy. They are well actioned, well paced, and they don't drag on in such a way that makes them cumbersome. So that is one thing that Kevin Hearn does really well, is he allows the action to play out. He gives it a couple like of stages of evolution throughout his story building and throughout like the pages of what's going on, and then he lets it run its course. He doesn't try to like continue building and building and building to make it cumbersome. So really applaud him for that. But let's dive into the summary a little bit, and then we'll go from there. Al McBarish is both blessed and cursed. He is blessed with an extraordinary white mustache, an appreciation for craft cocktails, and a most unique magical talent. He can cast spells with magically enhanced ink, and he uses his gift to protect our world from rogue minions of various pantheons, especially the Fae. But he is also cursed. Anyone who hears his voice will begin to feel an inexplicable hatred for Al. So, he can only communicate through written word or speech apps, and his apprentices keep dying in peculiar freak accidents. As his personal life crumbles around him, he devotes his life to his work, all the while trying to crack the secrets of his curse. But when his latest apprentice, Gordy, Turns up dead in his Glasgow flat, Al discovers evidence that Gordy was living a secret life of crime. Ooh, da da da. Now, Al is forced to play detective, while avoiding actual detectives who are wondering why death always seems to follow Al. Investigating his apprentice's death will take him through Scotland's magical underworld, and he'll need the help of a mischievous hobgoblin if he's to survive. So, really gotta say, I give these books 10 out of 10. Or 5 stars, if you will. Now, this book did release in August of 2020, so it's been out for a minute. We are 4 years later. I just recently read it, but I have read most of Kevin Hearn's other books. I have a second one here in front of me that I'm also going to probably try to finish before the end of this month, because I have the third book in my NetGalley account, Candle and Crow, that I cannot wait to dive into. Like, there is just something so fun about Kevin Hearn's writing that keeps me drawn into his style. And I know on my podcast channel that I've done with Annalicia that we have done at least 1 or 2 of Kevin Hearn's books for the Iron Druid series. I am talking to her about maybe doing a small mini-series on these particular books as well, because we just really enjoy the wit and humor that we find within these pages, all the while learning a little bit about the Fae and Druidic culture, Scottish lore, Irish lore, the Tuatha De Danann. You get to learn a little bit about a lot of different pantheons as well. Within there is a point in the Iron Druid series where we end up with the Norse gods playing a fairly large role, because I think Atticus has pissed off Thor. I'm fairly certain something like that has happened. But it is considered urban fantasy, mystery, magic, paranormal. So if that sounds like something you like, please go out and find it. I highly recommend it, and I want to talk to you guys a little bit about my thoughts. So the book opens where Al has realized that his apprentice Gordy has died. He is apparently choked on a raisin muffin, and of course, one of the opening jokes is that it's his own fault. It must have been suicide, because who eats a muffin with raisins in it? And I think that might have been the hobgoblin's comment is well, it must have been suicide. Who does that to themselves? He must have been asking for it. And so the humor and wit kind of starts establishing itself there. I did do the audiobook, and Luke Daniels is the narrator. I have listened to, I know Luke Daniels does the Iron Druid series as well, but it's funny to listen to him do this very Scottish accent, because it is very heavy. So I was distracted for a good hour before it kind of started to find its cadence in my brain. That was my bad. I didn't realize. The other thing about the audiobook that was more from my perspective, I didn't realize that that this character in this book was not going to be able to talk to people, that was one of his curses. So there are parts in the audiobook where he's having to use a text to speech app. So of course in the audiobook you do get these very monotone sort of interpretations of what he's typing into his phone. So all in all, very funny. I do think that was really clever, and if you want to hear that play out, then the audiobook is definitely the one to go with in order to really get an understanding of how Al McBarish it might be McBarish, I'm not sure how the B is really pronounced, because with the Scottish accent, it was the B and the V are very smooshed together. But I liked the audiobook. It just took me a minute to kind of wrap my head around it, because I didn't read the fact that he was not going to be able to talk to the people he was trying to work with. And that is one of the things we learn about in this curse, is that he can only communicate through written word. So he does work with a hacker, and so he writes a lot of things on paper because the hacker does not want him to use a speech to text app or a text to speech app, because he doesn't want anything like electronic kind of conveying like the words. So he's got to write it all down. And there's other things as well, because the longer he talks to someone, if he's just going to talk to them one time, he can talk to them for that one conversation. But if he thinks that he may have additional conversations with them in the future, he goes ahead and starts using these apps because he doesn't want to burn that bridge too quickly. And the reason I kind of had that snafu earlier in the beginning of this episode was because he kind of found out the reason of this curse because of the way his son changed towards him. His son grew to hate him, like could not stand to look at him, could not stand to hear his voice, and it was all because of this curse. And so now he cannot have contact with his son because his son, like due to this curse, hates him. Has no other reason. Like his son does not have, like, there's no other cause. It is just a curse that has been placed on Al. So that's one of the things that Al is trying to figure out. He's like, okay, why? Like, what? Who placed this curse on me to prevent me from being able to talk to people, like, that actually causes people to hate me after long stints of communication with people? He also figures out that he has a second curse placed on him, but I'm not going to spoil that for you. I'm going to let you figure that out for yourself, because I think that's a pretty clever part in this particular book, when he figures that out based on some help that he gets from maybe, I think it's a goddess. I think Bria's a goddess. Y'all let me know. But I think she is. Is she a goddess, or is she like super high? I think she's first among the Fae is what they call her. But the story is great. It's fun. It's witty. They do kind of pull some strings, which are really clever. But of course, you were supposed to suspend a level of belief because it is fiction. So, I mean, him flying with a hobgoblin from like overseas to America, just, we roll with it. We don't think too hard about it. Like whether his like sigils and spells and such would actually work. I will say, and this is just a little Easter egg that I loved, Atticus shows up and they have a nice little dinner together. So love that for us. Love that we see these worlds kind of come together for a moment. And all it is just a really nice dinner. Neither one of them are really talking shop or talking work or talking about like what they're doing where. It is just literally two people who seem to, well, Al kind of recognizes him and kind of asks him like, hey, is your surname like O'Sullivan? And he's like, who's asking? And he's like, oh no, I just, it's kind of curious. And so he like, and then they kind of build like a little bit of a repertoire, and they sit down and have dinner. And so it was really kind of a nice little scene, which I loved. So love to see more moving into the next couple books. We'll see, because it is part of the Iron Druid. I think that's what it says. It's like in the Iron Druid world. From the world of the Iron Druid Chronicles. So, yep, see, here's book 2, Paper and Blood. Book 2 of Ink and Sigil. And it's about 20 pages less, so it's about 280. And I can't wait to dive in. I'm gonna have to throw it into my bag. But it says there's only one Al McBarish, though other Scotsmen have dramatic mustaches and a taste for, fancy cocktails. Al also has a unique talent. I think we already learned about that a little bit. He is gifted with ink and sigil magic. So, but Al isn't quite alone. He's part of a global network of sigil agents. I believe there's 5 others who use their powers to protect the world from mischievous gods and strange monsters. So when a fellow agent disappears under the sinister circumstances in Australia, Al leaves behind the cozy pubs and cafes of Glasgow and travels to the Dandenong, I'm not saying that right, Dandenong Ranges in Victoria to solve the mystery. So this is in Australia. I apologize for mispronouncing these. I don't have the audiobook for it either to tell me how to pronounce that. The trail to his colleague begins to pile up with bodies at an alarming speed, so Al is grateful his friends have come to help, especially Nadia, his accountant, who moonlights as a pit fighter, and Nadia is awesome. Together with a whiskey-loving hobgoblin known as Buck Foy, who also gets high off of salsa, and it is mentioned in the book, which is so unfair, that he gets high off of salsa. So they go to a Mexican restaurant, and he just gets absolutely just wasted on salsa. It's hilarious. And then Druid Atticus, along with his dog Oberon and Starbuck. Hey! Al and Nadia will face down the wildest wonders Australia and the supernatural world can throw at them and confront a legendary monster not seen in centuries. So, we will definitely be doing an episode on this one, since we know that Atticus will also be playing a role in it as well. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that this sounds like a fun series for you guys. I hope you're excited to hear about the second book, because I can't wait to share it with you. I really laughed out loud a little bit on this book. Actually a lot of bit on this book. I love when a book just hits me in the funny bone. I actively try to pick books like this up because not only do I enjoy urban fantasy, I just like a book that doesn't take itself too seriously. I don't need something super heavy all the time. I love Brandon Sanderson. I love it. And his Stormlight Archive are some of my favorite reads. They are heavy, though. They take a while to work through. And so when I'm not reading those, and when I'm not working through one of those, these are the kind of books that I love to dive into that are a lot lighter, humorous, fun. I can read them in a day or two and then keep moving. But anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you guys on the next page. Have a great one. Bye.